We have to start imagining and telling our own stories about the future. We have to do this in order to not become the victims of somebody else's imagination. Everything that is existing now in this reality has already been imagined by somebody else who were here before us. To be able to take back the agency of our own futures, we have to learn from our ancestors. All those who had to survive before us to make it possible for us to be here today. The real heroes are the survivors because they are still here. Because we are still here. There are many kinds of power, used and unused, acknowledged or otherwise. The erotic is a resource within each of us that lies in a deeply female and spiritual plane, firmly rooted in the power of our unexpressed or unrecognized feeling. In order to perpetuate itself, every oppression must corrupt or distort those various sources of power within the culture of the oppressed that can provide energy for change. For women, this has meant a suppression of the erotic as a considered source of power and information within our lives. For the erotic is not a question only of what we do, it's a question of how acutely and fully we can feel in the doing. We need to examine the ways in which our world can be truly different. Our erotic knowledge empowers us, becomes a lens through which we scrutinize all aspects of our existence, forcing us to evaluate those aspects honestly in terms of their relative meaning within our lives. Snails don't work with urgency, if they work at all. They teach us to move at the speed of trust and to work smarter, not harder. That slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Slimy and unidentified, they carry their home within their own body. They live outside of binaries and reject any kind of form. We are never really alone. We are always accompanied by millions of bacteria, living, working, and dying on us. From the communities in the dirt, we can learn to resemble our own above-ground communities and to rethink our relationship to nurturing, to communication, and to how the cycle of life ultimately makes use of everything. Ferns are one of the oldest plants ever grown on Earth. It have inhabited Earth about 200 million years before the first dinosaur ever hatched from its egg. Ferns are from a fractal, a never-ending, infinitely complex pattern, comprised by the repetition of a simple process, over and over in an ongoing feedback loop. Ferns can teach us a lot when it comes to surviving turbulent times, and about how to sustain ourselves in an unsustainable world. The patterns of ferns can act as a lesson and principle for how we engage in social change. Through small-scale solutions, we can impact the whole system. Whatever we can do in a small scale, we can do in a bigger scale. We are all descendants of mycelium. Mycelium is the mother of us all. The word mycelium means more than one. The organism is a dynamic root system of mushrooms that utilizes trust as a mechanism to build and sustain a vast underground network. The network connects the roots of trees and plants and shares nutrients and resources to support the health of the entire ecosystem. This network cannot exist without trust. The mycelium communication highway recognizes and believes in the collective's ability to channel and receive nutrients where needed, protect against parasites, and expand roots into necessary sites of growth. The network process also fosters intergenerational relationships that welcome the myriad of ancient wisdom and connections that resides in older trees to benefit younger trees. These mushrooms affirm a commitment to building relationships of trust that encourage all life to bloom. Starlings' murmuration consists of a flock moving in sync with one another, engaging in clear, consistent communication, and exhibiting collective leadership and deep, deep trust. Talking about belonging, movement, and migration, I think the birds can be one of our greatest teachers. Bird doesn't know borders. They migrate twice a year. They have no passports, no border controls, no hierarchies, no leaders. They always move together, as a collective, as a community, where each one of them has a role that affects the bigger system. And they travel far, but they always come back to the same places. And one of these places is here.